guys, this is Sam, bringing you another installation. This time we're working on a Jeep Wrangler JK 2008 to 2017 models. We've got a powder-coated steel badass of a front bumper here. Now this thing is adaptable and it comes with a bunch of extras. First of all, we've got a pair of LED lights here. We've got a couple of D-rings. It is compatible with a 16-inch light bar if you want to add one later. It is winch compatible as well. And it's got a fair bit going on. It's sleek, it's aggressive. It does take a fair bit to install it. We got to take the OEM off. We're going to install this. We're going to wire up the lights. All right, guys, let's get into it. Time to go underneath to remove this splash guard. And we do this by removing these 7 screws right here. And keep in mind that these splash guards can vary. They can come in either metal or plastic for the OEM. If your Jeep's been on the road for a while, then this level of debris is perfectly normal. Once you take the screws out, there'll be nothing holding the splash guard in place, so just be careful when you take it down. Now we're going to go behind the fog light area to disconnect the fog light connector. Just pinch it from the back and pull it on out. You'll be removing this fog light connector from both sides. Next, we're going to be removing 8 bumper retaining bolts from the OEM bumper. There'll be 4 on each side. Reaching the inside 2 bolts on both sides is going to be tight, so you're going to have to wrap your hand around to gain access with a tool. Power tools will cut down the installation time on a fair number of these components. Once you remove these 8 bolts, the front bumper will be loose and hanging, and you can go ahead and remove it. So what were these pieces that just fell? Well, these are the reinforcement plates that were installed on the OEM front bumper to give it a bit more holding power. They were simply inserted behind the main bumper bracket, and when we loosened it, they all fell off. Now, it is possible to take these off manually, but we found it a lot easier just to let them drop. Now we're moving on because we need to remove this plastic frame guard. To do this, we'll be removing these 2 plastic rivet screws. Now keep in mind that these are plastic, so they will strip super easily with a Phillips screwdriver. Now, in the likely event that this does happen, you will need to screw off the top with a drill and just pull the whole piece out. These are all the parts and pieces that we're going to need to install this new adaptable front bumper. The extensions with the included LED fog lights, the bumper itself, the bull bar, and all of the included screws, bolts, and washers. We also include an extra set of brackets for the OEM fog lights. The left side screws are for the 2 extensions and the bull bar. But we'll be starting with the right side screws with the black washers to attach the new bumper to the Jeep body. Go ahead and insert the screws from behind and use the plastic washers in the front to keep the screws from backing out when we attach it to the Jeep body. There will be 8 to secure on each of the main bumper brackets. Reattaching these reinforcement plates is recommended as they will add stronger holding power. Now we can go ahead and install this new front bumper. It helps to have an extra hand as there is nothing holding the bumper until it is secured in place. We do that by securing the 8 points on the bumper brackets. Just screw them all down and use some tools to tighten them. And we have our first adaptable style for your new front bumper. So the next option is to add the extensions with the included LED fog lights. We're back at the workbench for a quick moment to prepare them. Go ahead and grab the included bracket adapter. Be sure to line up the 3 points on the left and the 1 point on the right. Screw those in place and we can slide the fog light into position on the bottom mount. Attach the light with the included screw, but be sure to leave it loose as there are a number of ways that this light can be positioned for your preference. Sideways, tilted, or a little further forward or back. Now you won't be able to position the OEM fog lights this way as the bracket is just too snug of a fit. Now we're going to match up these points on the main bumper to attach the extensions. We recommend you secure the top point first, then the extension will be hanging and it'll be easier to secure the other points. Take a moment before you tighten down to confirm the right alignment. Tighten everything, then go ahead and repeat the process on the other side. And we have our second adaptable style for your new front bumper. For the next step, it's handy to have these parts within an arm's reach to install the bull bar. Just secure these 2 points on each side. Some of the access can be a bit awkward here, so take your time to do it right. And again, make sure the alignment is perfect before you tighten down. And now we have our third adaptable style for your new front bumper. As we move on to wiring the fog lights, it's important to know that there are 2 options here. This section is one of the sections in the main harness that connects to the fog lights. You can just cut it out to use it to tap into the fog light wiring. It will end up looking like this and will now function as a fog light if your Jeep came with the OEM lights. The other option will have these fog lights installed as completely independent lights, with this included wiring kit. The first part to point out here is the additional button to be installed in the driver's side area of the cab. The other part of this wiring kit features the fuse for the wiring harness, the relay, and these 2 yellow connectors for the fog lights. If your Jeep does not have an OEM fog light switch, then you will need to use this longer harness method. Let's head back to the Jeep to install the included wiring kit. Starting with separating the black wire with the 2 yellow connectors. We're going to fish this black wire through the engine area of the Jeep and pop it out just behind the front bumper. Then pull the entire black wire through and run it into the back of the bumper area. We can then lay out the wire to connect it directly into both fog lights. So go ahead and connect both, then set the black wire aside for now as we'll be cleaning all of this up later on. Moving to the other end of the wire, we want to first clean it up before we connect it to anything else. Try to make everything as clean as possible. Now we want to separate the black and red wires with the exposed connectors, as we'll be securing these to the Jeep battery next. Make sure your engine is completely off. It's extremely important to match the red wire to the positive terminal and the black wire to the negative terminal. Now simply loosen the nut, slip the connector in between, and then tighten it all down with the tool. Then just repeat this process with the black negative terminal. Now we can test our fog lights before we move on. Grab this connector on the end of the white wire, and all you have to do is simply tap the connector firmly onto the positive terminal and your new LED fog light should flash on and off. If this doesn't happen, a common mistake is inserting the yellow connectors wrong. Simply flip them and try again. Again, we'll set these wires aside for now and clean them up a little later. Next, we're going to remove this OEM panel, as it will make it much easier for us to fish our wires into the interior of the Jeep. Grab the red wire from the switch unit with the bare end and fish it through the panel as shown. Next, we got to grab the white wire and fish it through from the other side. Now grab the switch side white wire and the extension side white wire and connect them with the prepared connections on each end. If you want extra protection, use some electrical tape to tape it all up. We can now move this wire bundle into the interior of the Jeep. Position the red and white wires in between the groove for the most seamless entry into the Jeep. We don't want anything crimping on this wire. At this point, we can go ahead and reattach this OEM cover plate. All we have left on the inside of the Jeep is this black wire. Next to the door on the inside is a side panel right here with two existing ground points. Both of these are good to use to connect our black ground wire. Fortunately, with our connections, all you have to do is loosen a little, slip the connector in, and tighten it back up. Make sure the wire can't back off and you're all set. Now it's just a case of positioning a universal switch. It has an adhesive on the back that you can simply peel off, and you can position it wherever is most comfortable for you. Now keep in mind that you'll want to hide these wires behind the interior panels. And remember that red wire that we left on the flare? Well, now it's time to get it sorted. It needs to run to the fuse box for the controlling. We are using the power socket fuse from the cigarette lighter. Choose the fuse and connection that is best for you. We are connecting the fuse temporarily just to demonstrate, but there are numerous ways to tap or connect into this wire. Just be sure to make the connection strong, secure, and sealed from the weather. The very last step is to just organize and clean up the rest of your wires. Zip ties come in real handy here, and by the time you're done, everything should be looking clean and solid. And there you have it. We are done. It took a while, but this is going to be on your Jeep forever, and it's going to add that sleek, aggressive edge, a ton of functionality. It's going to be on the trail with you and keep up. Now, it does take the average person about 2 hours to install this. Just the front bumper, to wire up the lights, it's going to take up to an extra hour and a half. It does get a little complicated with those lights. So guys, as always, take your time, learn a whole lot, have fun. Cheers.